Okay, folks, we're going to be talking about the fourth step of the BFS system. And we've covered we've gone through steps 1 through 3, which has taken us from the initial contact with the folks. They've now gone up to the BPM, or the corporate overview. And now we're going to talk about what we do from that overview on through the time that they're agents and we get them going. And tell you, the thing that I really love about this BFS system is just the fact that it is so simple. Folks, we can take any person that really wants to potentially be a superstar right now, and really all they have to do is they have to learn, and then they have to teach those 6 steps. So the first step is prospecting. Basically all we have to do here is teach you how to put a list together and maintain that list over a period of time. The second step would be the approach, which at that point in time we're actually starting to teach you how to actually contact the prospects. And then of course the third would be the presentation. This is after we've made that contact. Now we're bringing your new prospects up into the corporate overview, and you guys, you're letting the very best people on the entire team help you sell your people. You're using them to help recruit those folks, which now leads us into the follow-up, and that's what we're really going to be talking about here during this section. The follow-up is the 8 speed filters, and let's come right back to that. The 5th step would be the startup, and the startup is simple enough. All we're really going to do during the startup is we now have a new agent, a new recruit that we're going to be working with, and we're going to take that person from step 1 through step 4, and then the 6th, now all we have to do is start teaching people to do the same thing that we're doing. We duplicate ourselves. And so you guys, the magic, I mean, that's it. We just have to learn those first 6 steps, and then of course the 4th step would include those 8 speed filters. So if you run the system right, this will give you very predictable results. And the key is to get out there and get this thing going to where you actually know your math. You'll end up with certain averages. I know different offices will have different averages. I know for our office, as we've looked at our numbers over the years, when we properly execute a top 25 list, we'll usually end up with 5 clients, approximately 10,000 points, maybe 3 recruits out of that. And you guys, this gives you enormous power as you go out and start running your business. It creates a perpetual business. For example, if you're getting 3 recruits off each list, then every time you run through a list, you end up with 3 times the prospects of what you originally started with. And when you look at what it would take to actually go out and earn a marketing director promotion, right now you have to have 90,000 points in about a 90-day period of time. Well, folks, basically if you ran through 9 lists, if that's what your averages were, you'd be a marketing director as long as you did that within the first 90 days. And I look at this, I think back to, I think of maybe a pro baseball player. You look at some of the great batting averages of the day, and usually 300% plus will be considered that. And you guys, they pay these folks millions of dollars for that average. But have you ever thought about what that really means? If a guy has a 300% batting average, it doesn't mean that they hit a home run 3 out of 10 times. It means that they just managed to get on base 3 out of 10 times. It also means, though, that 7 of those 10 times that they're up to bat, they're either flying out, they're striking out, in one way or another, they're out, and they pay these folks millions of dollars. Okay, but most of these baseball players, in order for them to receive those type of rewards, they had to get up to bat many times more than that 10. Most of these folks had to get up hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times, over their college or high school careers and even into the pros sometimes. And, you know, I look at our company, and you guys, we're not going to bat 100% every time we go out there. We're going to have some failures. We're going to have some times when people tell us no. But if we get out there and we really hustle, there can be some huge rewards that come to us through this company. And if you think about the baseball player too, what is it that they're actually thinking about every time they get up to bat? They're not thinking, man, I'm going to strike out this time. They know that they're going to strike out 7 out of the 10 times, but not this time. This time it's going to be a home run. This time I'm going to knock that thing out of the park. And then if they do strike out, they're not going back to the dugout thinking, man, I throw the bat away. You guys, they want that bat back. They want to get back out there at the plate, and they want to go out and hit that next home run. And as you and I go through our business, there's going to be people that raid on our parades. There's going to be people that tell us no. There's going to be people that say, you can't do this. There's going to be people that are going to say that this thing won't work. Well, there's just too many people that have been successful in this company for somebody to realistically be able to say that. See, the great thing about this, if you get up to bat enough times, folks, there can be some huge opportunities that this company can provide for you. Now, the problem sometimes can be, if you run the system appropriately, it's not whether or not we have enough people to talk to. Sometimes we can have too much activity going on, and almost to the point where we become unproductive, and it becomes very difficult to sift through that. And so that's where these 8-speed filters come in. And if you remember maybe what a filter is, I remember watching a thing where they were showing us some folks panning for gold, okay? And of course, they would put the water and all the debris and everything, it would go through this filter, and it would sift out all that stuff that we really didn't want. And when it was done, what was left was these gold nuggets, which is what we were looking for. And the gold nuggets in our business would be recruits, they would be productive builders and trainers and things. And that's really what these 8-speed filters are for, folks. It's to concentrate our time on the most productive point. And I remember years ago, I remember thinking, you know, in order for me to grow at a faster pace, I've got to get some sort of system in place to where I can teach others how to train new people faster. Well, you know, that's probably the stupidest thing I've ever thought of, because right in front of me, what had been in front of me for years, was the 8-speed filters. And for some reason, I just wasn't coachable enough. I just didn't pay attention to them. But folks, there's just nothing to guess at here. You run those 8-speed filters, and it tells you exactly what to do, when to do it, on how to take your new recruits through the thing. And so basically, the first 4 of those filters, we really want for these to be completed within the first 24 to 48 hours. Speed is of the essence, divine swiftness. Okay, and we've now, again, the first 3 steps took us up to the point to where these folks were now at the BPM. And so what do we do with them at this point in time? And, you know, it's been my experience over the years, as people get out there and they start building, oftentimes we just get worried about making sales all the time. Well, folks, I think when we do that, we really miss the opportunity that this company has to offer us, in the fact that there's more than just the sales. So folks, my suggestion would be, don't worry about the sales. Aim for recruits, sales will come. In fact, if you run the system, usually you'll be able to have many more sales because of that. Now, the first speed filter then would be, when they come to the meeting, is do they stay after the meeting? Now, first of all, if they don't stay after the meeting, what do? You make them a client. And that's going to be our point as we go through here. It doesn't matter what you do, we'll always have an opportunity to try to make them a client. But there's also an art to making sure that they stay after the meeting. And in fact, as they come out of the corporate overview, basically what you don't want to do is go up and ask them, well, what do you think? Maybe a better way of handling that would be just to go up to your new prospect and say, man, I told you that was going to be great, wasn't it? And by the way, I told my manager that we'd go say hi to him before you left. So in fact, come on, follow me. And folks, you just start walking to see your manager. Now, when you start walking away, they pretty much have to follow you, okay? And it's very critical that you want to make sure you get this appointment set up before they leave the office that night. Now, the second speed filter then would be to pick up an info pack. Most of your offices will have a package of information that will be available for them after the meetings. And you guys, if they don't pick up the info pack, what do? You turn them into a client, okay? If they do pick up the info pack, they do follow you, go talk to the leader. Now, the purpose there is to actually set up a follow-up interview, an MD interview, which is the third speed filter. It's setting up the MD interview. Now, again, if they don't do that, what do you want to do? Well, folks, you want to try to get an FLS set up with them so that hopefully you can go over and help them from a client standpoint. But as they're coming out of the corporate overview, there's also an art to making sure this interview gets set up. And rather than going up to them initially and saying, well, what do you think? It might be better if you possibly said something more of a positive statement like, hey, didn't I tell you that would be great? In fact, I told my manager that we'd say hi to you before we left and stuff. In fact, follow me. We'll go talk to him. And folks, you just start walking to your manager. Now, they pretty much have to follow you once you start that little process. And now it's also important that you edify your leader as you're taking them over there. You should have told them how great your leader is, tell them that they're very busy, and that you hope you can give them an interview. In fact, you need to also make this more to where they're not doing you a favor, but maybe you're doing them a favor, and just tell them, hey, if we can get you an interview, you owe me big. Now, folks, what your leader's going to try to do is set up an appointment during the daytime hours at the office. And again, we want to put some intrigue into this. Now, a lot of new people, what they'd like to do is they'd like that leader to maybe bend around a little bit more for that client in the aspect, or excuse me, your prospect, in that let's go see you at your home, after hours, all that type of stuff. Well, if you're interviewing at any major firm in the area, usually you're going to have to go right into the office during the daytime hours to do that. And so again, we want to keep this as professional as possible during this point in time, which also now leads us to the fourth then. We've set up the interview, and now it's time to actually do the MD interview itself. And we're going to come back and teach more on this here in just a minute. But again, if they don't actually show up to the interview, then you want to go back and try to perform an FLS again. So you guys, again, in all cases, it doesn't matter what's happened at any stage or step as far as the filters. If they don't get to the next filter, you're always going to go back and do your best to help them out as a client. Now, that takes us from step 1 through 4, which again, we want it to happen within the first 24 to 48 hours. Now, at this point in time, if they've gotten through all 4 of these steps, they're now an agent, they're now signed up, they're ready to go, and now we begin filter 5. And this is where the real action really starts. The 5th filter then would be the business plan. And I think a lot of people really miss this when they actually bring on a new agent. Because too many times we get that top 25 list and we say, all right, let's put that list together and let's go see them. Well, you guys, that's just a little bit too fast. We've got to give these folks a reason to want to go out and do this thing. And this is also a great time for you to do a little bit of bonding and let this new agent know that you really do care about them, you really do care about their family, and this is a great time to start going over goals. And I would tell you that you want to find out, number one, what they want, and you don't want to just focus on income. You know, you talk to a lot of folks, they might have a drill, but it's not the drill that they want. It's that little hole that drill makes that they really want. And who cares about the drill after that, right? If there was another tool that did that more effectively, more efficiently, then that's what they would use. Well, when you're talking about dreams and you're talking about goals, income is simply the drill. We need to get into their hearts and find out really what it is that these folks want. And some of them might tell you, well, I want to get my wife out of work. Some of them might say, I want to fire my boss. Man, I just want some freedom. I want to decide when I go to work, when I come home. I want to decide what my income is. Whatever those goals are, that's what you need to find out. And then you need to find out what they're willing to sacrifice to get them. What's your time commitment? What are you willing to do for this? How much work are you willing to put in? And folks, you take that information and then you set some realistic goals. You come up with a personalized game plan for these folks to go out there and do it. And then you team up as a partner and you go try to make that thing happen to the best of your abilities. So you use that business plan to give them a roadmap to where they want to go. And I tell you, one part of that business plan that I would certainly focus on, you guys, again, this company will allow you to go out and build a business. We want to focus on trying to help these folks become marketing directors and build a business of their own by the time we're all said and done. Now, the 6th step is the financial strategy. This is where we actually sit down with these folks and educate them on the financial concepts in which we teach our clients. And hopefully they're in a situation where we can actually get in there and help them. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why we want to do this. Number one is, yes, we'd like internal consumption where it's appropriate, but I'll tell you what the big reason is. There's nothing that cements a new recruit in more than actually being a product of the product. It's when we're helping them with that portfolio and they're seeing the results and the things that we can do for they and their family. That's when they truly start to fall in love with this thing. That's when they truly now are better at going out and explaining this to other folks. And it's not what you say when you're recruiting or what you're selling. It's how you say it. And certainly when you're a part of this thing, there's a lot more passion that goes into it, which brings us to the 7th speed filter, which is developing that prospect list. And I think we need to do this at lightning speed. It should be within 24 to 48 hours after they initially say I do. Not from the time that they turn a membership agreement in, but from the time that they say I do. It's important we get them out in the field extremely quick. And then finally, you folks, the very last speed filter would be the matchup and getting them through the ASAP program. The ASAP's important because we want these folks to go through the entire training process. We want to see what happens when we're picking up a financial strategy. We want to see what happens when we present the results and the recommendation from that financial strategy, so that by the time they come out of licensing, hopefully we've got a small team built for them. Hopefully they've seen several clients made in the process of it, and these folks are ready to go and go out and build a great career. So the matchup then is that magical tool we use to get the team into motion, to get this person out there and going, and it's absolutely vital we give them some success right off the bat. Now, let's go back to the fourth filter for just a minute, the MD interview. Now, folks, what we really want to do at this point in time is we're really just trying to bring them to a decision of some sort. Again, they've come up to the meeting, we've now got the MD interview set up, and we're going to use this, and it almost doesn't, what we don't want is a maybe. A yes is good, a no is good, because even a no, we know it's time to move on and go to some different level with this thing, but we do want to try to avoid the maybes, and so the MD interview is to really hopefully inspire that yes decision. Now, you know, as you go through that MD interview, there's a couple things that I would just start off by asking them normal questions you normally hear in an interview. Number one is, you know, from what you've seen so far, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, what intrigues you the most? And then you might ask them, you know, to tell them just a little bit about yourself and you know, what type of business background do you have? What type of schooling? You know, what do you like to do? And then I would get in there and maybe even just share a little bit of yours. I've always believed if we make ourselves vulnerable just a little bit, that they'll open up to us just a little bit more. And I know for myself, oftentimes I'll just share a little bit about my family. I remember here a while back, we were out in our yard, and it was during the springtime, and we had my little two and a half year old boy was out there. And I don't brag about too many things, but I love my backyard. We've got this little lake back there, and there's got these mountains, and I've got like 3.5 acres, and a little swimming pool up here, and my little boy had this little red baseball cap that was kind of flipped to the side, and he was standing up on his little tippy toes, and he was swishing this little weed in our little bird bath back there, and my wife was sitting down there taking pictures of this whole thing, and I'm just sort of taking it all in, and I told my wife, I said, you know, hon, I said, this is my dream. I've always dreamed about having this type of environment to go back to, this type of privacy, to be back here with my family in that way. And you guys, it's not maybe that I couldn't have even afforded it in years past, but I wouldn't have had what? I wouldn't have had the time. There's just no way that I would have been out there in the middle of the day without a care in the world, enjoying that time with my family. Now, I know that that's a corny dream, but you know what's cool for me? That's my corny dream. And again, folks, you can tell whatever story that you want. It needs to be your story. It needs to be from the heart. It needs to be something that means something to you. And then it's time to start talking about them and where their career paths are going. And I would, personally, I would just ask them, hey, if it were a perfect world, what would happen to you here? Where would you like this thing to go? Now, make sure as they give you that information, you listen carefully, because they're going to be talking to you about their hot buttons, what's important to them and their families. And that's what you need to base all these goals and things off of, right? And then I would also review the corporate overview just a little bit, and the fact that they have 2 career paths that you can follow. One is where you become self-employed, and I think you pretty much get that. That's where we go out and we actually teach folks about financial concepts. We try to, if appropriate, we help them with their portfolios. But I tell you, that's not really the reason you and I are here right now. Tell you what we're looking for. We need some folks right now that have some fast legs, they have some high vision, they've got some great want-to with them, and we need some folks to help us expand and maybe set up new offices and things. And I would tell you there's 3 things that we need to create superstars. Number 1 is we need somebody who's extremely coachable. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you won't let us help you, we can't help you. We need some folks that will have some great attitudes. I mean, man, you look out there in corporate America right now, and it just seems like almost everybody hates everybody. And I tell you what, if we want to be average and ordinary, if we want to be destined to that same fate, I know exactly how to do it. We just walk like they do, we talk like them, we act like them, same action, same reaction. But if we want to have a chance to be a cut above the rest, make a bigger contribution out there, then we have to operate by a higher set of laws. And one of those first laws tells us we just have better things to do than fight with each other. Number one, we need to focus on the task at hand, and that first task would be we need to teach you knowledge so that you can perform. And then number two, we need to do our best to get your cash flow going so that you can be a part of this great enterprise. Okay, and then the third thing that we need, and this really becomes the more important of the three, is we need some folks who have desire. These other two don't really matter a whole lot without that, but you put somebody in front of us that's coachable, they've got a great attitude, they have the right want to. We've got somebody we've got a good chance of going out there and building a business with, because now we can actually teach, we can implement. More importantly, we can actually execute that system. And again, our system has worked again and again and again. Now, as we go forward from here, as we talk about being coachable, do you ever watch the Karate Kid before? Okay, you remember that show, right? And remember how Daniel gets all beat up? He goes to Mr. Miyagi and he says, "Man, teach me karate." All right, and he said, "All right, be at my house early in the morning." And if you remember what he had him do, first thing he's got to do, remember this? He's got him waxing on, wax off, waxing his car, right? Next thing he's got him doing is painting his fence. Do it just right, Daniel. Okay, he's got him sanding his deck, and Daniel's starting to get a little ticked off, thinking, "Man, this hot dog's got me doing all his chores for him." Well, in reality, what he's really doing is teaching the fundamentals of the business. And if we would like to have a chance of getting you from where you're at up to marketing director within a reasonable period of time, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of things, little things that we have to teach you. Now, if we try to chuck all those down you in one bite, you're going to throw up and die on us, and none of us want that, right? So you're not going to have the benefit of being able to see this entire picture when we first start. I'm going to ask you to trust us for just a little while. Now, I will also promise you this, as we go through your training program, this is not a maybe, it will be this way. There will be times when you're thinking, wax on, wax off. Why are they having me do this? This does not make sense to me. I'm going to ask you to put those thoughts aside for just a little bit and trust us for maybe 90 to 120 days. Everything will have its place. Everything will have its time. Nothing is for naught. There's a reason for everything that we do. And by the time we get through that period of time, this stuff will finally come together, and I think you'll see how brilliant this system really is. So if you'll be coachable just over that period of time, we have a great chance of going out there and building a super business for you. Now, here's where we'd like to go from here then, okay? First of all, we need to create a list. And then, folks, what you want to do is you want to actually sit down with your new prospect, your new recruit, and you want to help them build that list. Don't just send them home to do it on their own, and help them qualify it, make sure they get in the right market. You want to get their membership agreement taken care of, and you want that membership agreement as quickly as possible because it helps commit them to the business and stuff. Hey, I tell you, I love this business format system more than I can tell you. I know it has certainly been a great asset to my family, to our team, and our office, and we look forward to seeing all of you at the top. Thank you.